Wildest thing about this episode is realizing in real time that the marketing lied to us. Fiona and Cake is back and we're still in Fiona's world, and Finn is dying, and all my dramatic theories ended up turning into jokes. However, I can still confidently say that this episode was my favorite of the season so far, as it carries on the proud Adventure Time tradition that every time there's a Marceline backstory, it is always going to be a banger of a time, as we finally get a hint to what Marshall and the Ice Queen were to one another, and on this, I was correct. And more importantly, it is adorable. Also, Cake and HW have some fun time-hopping shenanigans, and that Fiona's world isn't as devoid of magic as we initially assumed. Also, HW really has got to stop cutting off their hand. Let's break it all down, and I will give my thoughts on how we're probably not gonna leave this dimension till episode 8. It is what it is.
I can make one about how I'm basically your mom.
So to cover the part of the episode I keep forgetting about, Fiona and her ex.
Fiona, seriously? He broke up with you! And a text message!
Look, I'm not gonna lie, they kinda need to hurry this one up just a little bit. As while I'm not hating any of the time we spend with them, I am just looking around every corner waiting for Hunter or Fennel just pop in and be mad or announce that they're gonna have a four-way. Plus, Fiona has always been the girl with too much on her plate and has a habit of crashing out. So while it's funny to see her double down till she builds a Tower of Babel worth of regrets, they'll just crash down and crush her, having spotted the thread of the girl misdirecting all of her energies into a project to avoid some of her own personal growth, and that she keeps doing that, keeps picking up other things and neglecting herself, and this just makes me think about the things that are going to happen versus the events we are actually experiencing. And at this point, she has burned the guy who's into her, is chasing after her old flame while denying that's what's happening, and she just raised the price tag on the lot she doesn't really need.
$70K. You have till Sunday.
It's fucked up to say, but I am really looking forward to that mental breakdown, as that's gonna be juicy and amazing. Meanwhile, the focus on the sweet spot itself is just kinda blah. Especially when, like, the other half of the plot involves Finn dying, which is, yeah, kinda important and huge. And I'll probably have a lot more to say about the pacing when I've seen it all put together, but I do think my biggest issue currently is that while I'm enjoying everything, the stakes right now are so unevenly stacked. We really need a more dramatic thing to be fighting for in Fiona's world, even if it is just like the tip of Fee's emotional iceberg. Because yeah, it's Finn, and while we know he probably won't die, the desire to see people fight to save him disconnects us from like actually enjoying the character writing that we're seeing in the main plot. Though I do think the season is finally moving to give us something a little bit more weighty, as having dug herself into that massive money hole, the episode ends with Fiona going to see Mrs. Abadir, having caught the stalker Mommy Dearest has been paying to watch Marshall for his entire life, with my gut assumption being that Fiona is about to ask her for money. But the only thing that Fiona has to trade is the one thing she shouldn't give, which is access to Marshall. Mrs. Abadir has been trying to get her hooks into Marshall all season. He won't take her calls, and she clearly hasn't given up on the idea of making him her heir. So, being the utter control freak that she is and wanting to always know what he's up to, I think Fiona, in a moment of desperation to solve all the problems that she is blaming herself for, would probably do something morally nebulous if it means helping her friends in the process, even if it means betraying their trust. One that was reinforced this episode by how like the boys went to confide in her about their worries. This leads me to guess that Fiona is about to offer to be Mrs. Abadir's new spy. The spy thing makes the most sense to me, as this other dude is clearly incompetent, despite me only just now noticing he's been in every episode. But Fiona being a spy accomplishes two goals. It gives Abadir more intel on her son and what he's going through, and it gives Fiona the delusion that she won't get caught. As if and when she does, this will destroy her relationship with Marshall and by proxy Gary. If it were just a meeting thing, yeah, backfires automatically, Marshall will just be pissed. Her being a spy and then getting caught is the more narratively satisfying thing, and gives Fiona that naive hope that this will somehow work out when we as an audience know that it certainly won't. Also, it's crazy that Fiona used to be a hired thug for Marshall's mom.
I chased out all the squatters, boss!
Look, at this point, I just have to assume that there isn't a job in this town Fiona hasn't worked. Which, if she's like Finn, means... Still can't believe they put a child on a stripper pole. Fiona is like 2 episodes away from hurting everyone that she cares about. But speaking of people who are lying... the marketing. It's wild how every promotional image for this season that made us think we were gonna be traveling the multiverse again was really just time travel shenanigans from this one episode. On one hand, that is devious, and I now can't unsee Cake being HWs, but now I'm pretty convinced that we are not gonna see Fiona and HW leave this world till episode 8, as it's very sus that they're all from this one place, implying a multiverse adventure that has not materialized. I'm not mad, but I am worried that we are gonna be here way longer than any of us expected. Which, if that's the case, I am gonna need HW and Fiona to be forced to spend actual time together stats, as at the moment it feels like the story is inventing reasons for them not to hang out with each other. That said, I think based on this episode, I could be okay with the intro lying as well, as personally, Cake and HW's dynamic is honestly gold to me. There's just a great back and forth between these two. If Cake and HW become the new Fiona and Simon, the characters we actually focus on, it'd be crazy, but I kinda can get behind it, as Cake is this great flabbergasted straight woman to HW's deadpan crazy. We watch these two try to navigate the miniverse inside the tree, and we're seeing them just get trapped in all the bullshit, and they are just so fun throughout it. I never would have guessed that Cake in the shot was going to be HW's hand. I thought they were leaning over a sick Fiona, but they go on this little mini adventure. Cake is forced to leave her man hanging yet again. But while their antics are fun, I think the thing that I like the most about them is how HW is the only character who is addressing Cake's core identity issues.
Why did I squish that spider?
It's your nature. All we can do is deal with it in the present.
Fiona is too busy doing her own thing, so HW just being there, knowing Cake for 5 seconds and just saying the subtext out loud just sent me. As Cake really is fighting with her own nature and identity, that she wants to be a person, but she's also a cat trying to deny the fact that she is a cat. And we started this episode with the revelation that her apartment is just stuffed with dressers that she sleeps in. This is a nod to Jake, and yes, cats just like a snug fit. But for her, who nearly just killed a person after thinking that they were a bug, this little bit of behavior, this concern about what she does, it is giving her angst about what she is and why she acts the way that she does, and creates a little bit of resentment and worry that I am personally loving. Because when HW sees this, she is flummoxed by why Cake would even try to deny who she is, which is such a telling move for HW, as she probably has some assumptions about her own nature as well. She imagines herself as a solitary creature, yet despite those assumptions, we see how HW has been shaped by those around her. Her parents taught her how to eat food like a person versus absorbing them like a plant, to have a mouth, to be a hunter. Everything that she is right now is a product of their influence, not to mention the Green Wizard training. So it is deliciously hypocritical in all the right ways that HW is trying to tell someone else to just follow their nature, while missing how she has already been denying her own. If the rest of the season leads into this dichotomy of nature versus nurture and the murkiness of identity, I would be so down for Cake and HW's bond to become the main center point of this season. I don't think that's gonna happen, but it would be so cool if it did. But also make that opening a full red herring, but I don't think they're gonna do that. Also, speaking of red herrings, what the fuck is with all the Betty and Golb imagery this season? At first, I thought these were just cute nods to her and how Simon had made peace with her memory, but from the graffiti to the shirts, it'll all just be oh, maybe this is just how she helped give this world a second life. But the monster butterflies that apparently go on to cause the apocalypse, those are Golb's eyes, aren't they? They have the 4 eyes and the same red on the outside. Then in the future, they start looking like the Lich. I don't know how much of this is just for funsies and what's gonna actually factor into the future, but I'm just so curious, as we saw Betty turn into what is implied to be a comet at the end of season 1. But it looks like some part of her essence, or at the very least Golb's, might still be around, and oh my god, this is actually brilliant.
A long time ago, I was you, sort of, and became a butterfly or some biz.
Okay, I am just realizing this now as I'm editing, but Finn, we discover in a past life, was a comet that hit Ooh, and from there he would go on to become a butterfly. And this order of events might be what's happening to Golb, or even worse, the Lich. If this is what they're doing, this is actually a brilliant little deep cut, as just like how Golb led to the creation of the Lich, we assume that the idea here that the writers are going for is that just like the Axel creation, Golb did not give a fuck about the Lich, he was just a fanboy who thought he was following Golb's practices. The Golbetti butterfly could have just existed. It respawned in this world and had its descendants, with those then going on to become Lich-like creatures, skull-face and all, and began to destroy the world again. Which, ooh, I love that. This is the kind of multiverse world building that I fucking adored in season 1, where every time we went to a new place, we were trying to figure out like, okay, how is this universe different? What is changed to cause such a radical new reality? Like Simon being eaten by the Vampire King led to him getting the crown and then being the one to adopt Marceline. I don't want to compare the seasons too much till I've seen all of season 2. Putting these pieces together, it just scratches an itch in my brain, and one that I feel like I'm only just now realizing I've really been missing from this season. But to move on, this whole experience is a bust. Huntress is left with a scar to prove it, providing her with a reminder of what her recklessness can lead to. But yes, that tree is Finn's, and the fact that the entire timeline of Fiona's world got hit by the Golb retcon is crazy. But who cares, we got baby Marshall. Every Marceline backstory episode is a banger, so I am happy that Marshall is continuing the trend. Starting with a flashback opening and then giving us more hints via time travel, we get glimpses of Marshall's home life, how his mother went from a businesswoman to the CEO of the town, with her trying to control his life every step of the way, with us seeing how dissatisfied she is with him committing the cardinal sin of being a child. Look, he's not focusing on his homework, so because he's annoying, she kicks him out of her office, just giving him money to make her prom go away. Little boy is just not feeling loved nor supported in this household, which makes his meeting with the Ice King, aka Simone, to be the thing that we were all hoping it would be.
Mrs. Welcome here.
Walking around town, he hears music playing in the park. The two immediately connect, with her supporting his interest that he didn't even realize he had, and just encouraging him to pursue it. Simone is the one that gave him his first instruments, which I can only assume horrible things will happen to. As even when she sends her son away, Abadir can't let him be free either. This woman is a control freak. This kid is terrified of the idea of making a mess. He felt ashamed of it, and Simone just made sure he knew that it was all okay, that he can loosen that tie and have fun, that he can express himself and feel safe when he was around her, which he clearly can't feel when he's with his birth giver. But a curious thing that I noticed and I really like about what they're doing with Simone is that she is not just Simon, she also seems to embody a lot of Marceline's mother as well. It was her mother who helped foster her love of music and helped define her as a person. So given how we have heard nothing about Marshall's father, it is smart and very efficient storytelling to combine Simon and Marceline's mom into one character in this AU. To have Simone help Marshall discover who he truly wanted to be, rather than having that role broken up between two different characters. Right now we got his love of music and his keep it chill personality, and I'm so curious to see like what more we're gonna discover. As right now, it does seem like something happened between the two. My money is on Marshall's mom saying someone to threaten her, as when they were talking, looking at each other, it seemed like that was something that they weren't supposed to do. So I just want to see this explored even more, kind of like Gary and Marshall's relationship and how Marshall realized he's dating his mother.
Sometimes when you get controlling about it, you remind me of my mother.
Oh, God.
Yeah. All the Marshall X Gumball stuff was good. It's cute. They're in the early stages of their relationship as compared to PB and Marceline, who we only witnessed their second go at things. These two right now are having their first real, relationship. They're in those adjustment periods where they're trying to see where the boundaries are at, how they can, live with one another, and what things they need to discuss and work through versus just accepting and loving. You can definitely see Marshall's inner child coming out as he fears getting in Gary's way, whose OCD is showing with how rigidly he wants to do certain things, even when they're as basic as chocolate in cubes, even though they're all about to melt. All this is just a nice little road bump for them to experience, just like Marshall, who gets to meet Gary's parents. And Nessie's here, which I like. I was wondering what happened to the dude and what version of him was in this reality. The meet the parents stuff was wholesome, giving us more insight into both of them, with Marshall getting reminded of his connection to Simone as he plays her song on the piano. And then the boys talk about how they've really been feeling, and they move on and work past it. It's a small scale adventure, but it hits us with a fat dose of serotonin, while also setting up much bigger struggles that might come out of it, which I do feel like has been Fiona and Cake's motto this season. Alright, that's it for me. Let me know what other Easter eggs you noticed, how much of this Golb thing is actually gonna materialize, and how much were you fiending for more Marshall and Gary. Yes, the demon eye thing turned out to be a complete bust, and there was no consequences. So fuck me, I guess, for thinking it was gonna be a way bigger deal. But hey, at least the joke was funny.